to find a Final Four team. And we talked about it last show where I had Villanova. All I needed to do to get to the Final Four, I sell a ticket on a team that got hurt. And the bottom line is I had a positive ROI on an NCAA championship ticket that didn't win the game. That is why this coming week is so important. What are we looking for with these small tournaments and with the big tournaments?
The name of the game here is just pretty much value. I think long term, and you want to try to kind of find that team that necessarily isn't hot right now, but is starting to heat up a little bit. So you want to kind of look to those Villanova, so to speak. Also Duke. Duke really kind of started off kind of back and forth, not really so good. Now they're starting to get a little bit of momentum. And if you're talking about Duke going into the NCAA tournament, if you look at the value that you're getting, might not be a bad play. Obviously, you're going to have the teams that are favored like Houston, which I think probably is going to be the number one team overall. As long as there's no mishaps, but I don't see that happening moving forward. But besides Houston, I think there's definitely some value in some of the bigger name teams out there.
That's what I'm going to be paying attention to. Don't get me wrong, we'll be betting these tournaments. And,
for sure.
And next weekend is, it's really mostly Saturday. Saturday is really a special day. A little weird for me because I'm going to be in Connecticut. I get into JFK Saturday morning at 7 a.m., which means I will be in Connecticut probably by 8:30 with legal sports betting. Now, Mom, I love you. I miss you. But I'm hitting the off-track book before I come to your house. March Madness is such a great word. It really is. It just describes it. And as you know, that Thursday, when you can't get a seat in a sports book. It doesn't matter what state you're in. Actually, it doesn't matter what state you're in because even in states that are illegal, like in California, every sports bar is going to be packed. It really is the most exciting time of year. This weekend, we've got the smaller conferences finishing up. We got the bigger conferences finalizing their regular season. What are you looking for this weekend and going forward?
Being Big Ten centric here where I'm at, well, next year the Big Ten is going to be all over the country, but I'm looking for teams that are going to be top 5 seeds to have good showings. Indiana, who knocked off Purdue last weekend, came home and got blown out by Iowa earlier in the week. So I'm looking for these top tier teams. Rutgers wound up losing. Purdue's lost a few. So I'm looking for these top of the Big Ten teams to finish out strong going into the Big Ten tournament. And, hopefully one of these Big Ten teams like Purdue maybe getting a number 1 seed. So I think it's important for your teams at the top of the conference to not slough off and, gain some momentum going into their conference tournament.
Well, let's look at the Big Ten. How many teams get byes?
Well, you're going to have your first couple of teams get byes. And then they're going to move on. You've got the bottom tier teams playing on Thursday usually. Then you'll have the other teams playing Friday, Saturday, and then your top 2 teams get the longest bye. So next year when they add even more teams, it's going to have to be a whole new schedule. But the Big Ten's on pace to be in every top media market in the country, which is what they're really working for. Which is why Rutgers is a part of it. They have that New York market. While they've
no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be some tough travel, and that's what's going to be different next year when it comes basketball time. Because we'll be sitting here, you and I, talking about you've got a team from the Midwest going all the way out west to play, and how's that going to affect the end of them for them. So I'm looking for these top teams in the Big Ten to finish strong and not finish with a blowout loss like a couple of our top teams have done. It's going to be tough, man. There's a lot of good basketball teams in the Southeast right now. Alabama's had a fantastic season. Tennessee's had a good season. You look at the kids from Houston. I mean, they've spent half the year at number 1, flip-flopping back and forth with Purdue. So there are a lot of good teams in the South this year. And I think, we're not used to thinking of the SEC as a huge basketball country. We think about football, but the SEC is going to be tough in basketball this year.